Mayan buntag, mayan hapon, mayan gabi, no matter where you are in the world. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate the support you guys do give these channels, and even though there's nobody here right now, but I know that there will be people showing up. Hey, I got sound. No, I don't have sound on there, but I do have comments quicker than they come up here, so that's good too. But that's part of the reason why I leave that one open. I don't know why, but there's like a 15-second delay, 21-second delay between what I say here and what shows up here. But comments come up here quicker than they come up here. Gotta love YouTube. That today I am going scuba diving. That we've kind of set it up to go like once every 2 weeks on Thursdays. Little bit of a confusion on getting going today. That my BCD last time broke. The inflate deflate attachment point just disintegrated. So the inflate hose, the inflate deflate hose just fell off literally. So the BCD is basically worthless. So that week I was able to get just borrow a hose to use for low pressure hose because the inflate for it is a little bit odd. So it's a little bit of an odd sized. So it doesn't fit a lot of BCDs. And we've ran into that problem one other time too, that I've got this really cool signaling device. These things are great. Oop. There we go, Dive Alert Plus. But it's actually really cool because you can actually do it underwater or above water. This is a really super loud whistle. And this has a ball in there that you can hear and shake. And when you hit it, it vibrates quite a bit, quite quickly. And it's rather loud underwater so that you can catch somebody's attention and you just push the button and it works really well. So, but when I got the new hose, I really like this setup because it included your octopus. And that way you've got the octopus and your inflate deflate hose all in one piece so that you have just the one hose hanging on you to use. Which, I'm trying to think of it. Yeah, it's over here. And that way if something happened and you did need to give a regulator, you can give yours with a longer hose and just use this one yourself, which was actually really cool. And if anything happened, you had it for yourself. But oh, where were they?
In the bag in sunshine, so we grab your bag in sunshine and put on the table.
Oh, money's in there too. Yeah, that's a good thing you did that. Salama. I have glasses. I can see things now. But actually, I was kind of wondering if I might be able to get a different size connector here. A different size connector here that might work a little bit more universally. When I go back to the States, I'm going to have to get another BCD anyhow. And so I may go into my local dive shop and see if they do have something that would work to connect from this size to a more standard size. This is a more standard connector, and this is what's on there. You can see there's a size difference and a setup difference too. But I really like this. It was great. It had everything you needed right here, easy to use. And it avoided the extra octopus that often just dangled and fell free and all that good stuff. But the drawback to it, like I say, is that this was an oddball size, so that if you ever needed something, the low pressure hose on your regulator wasn't going to work well for this, for anything other than this. So, but hey, the guy I'm getting the hose from, he's actually got a setup that the Octopus is still on the low pressure regulate. Yeah, the low pressure hose. But it's Sherwood. It matches the regulator that I've got, and it's overall actually a nice little setup. And he's giving me a little bit of a discount price for it. So it was a little bit more than I wanted to spend, because I was figuring a few hundred pesos for just the hose, but then I was going to have to figure out something for an Octopus. But I've got Cindy's regulator that she's not going to be using for the next few months, and so I was kind of figuring, well, I could use that. But I kind of like the setup he's got, so. I'm just going to use that setup for the meantime. Now, I believe Cindy's still watching, and I know I'm watching from a different channel. There we go. So I know I have 2 watchers, but I'm only showing one on the screen. I don't know how I can do that. Now I have it set up, but oh, now it's up to 2. But it looks like it's just Cindy and I here for the meantime. So I'll continue chatting, and hopefully eventually people will start showing up. And it's not uncommon, and I didn't put out there today that it is. Normally I do try to go. Okay, your shows 2, mine shows. What I'm laughing at. This shows 2. This shows 1. Yeah, I've learned not to pay a whole lot of attention to the viewer count on that one for a multitude of reasons. I've repeatedly been surprised that there were no viewers, and I made a comment about logging off because there were no viewers, and I had like 3 comments coming. Oh, I've been watching you. I just can't comment because and so it just. Even my counter that I can't refresh, it is off horribly, and it bounces back and forth. And the one on here will bounce back and forth too. And I know that, like I say, I just don't worry about them anymore. But it is kind of funny watching them and knowing that there's different amount of viewers than what the viewer count actually shows. Love Beyond the Sea that he periodically does. For a while, he was doing live streams regularly, and the viewer count on his will often read 0 while I'm still watching it, or it'll read 1 while there's more people chatting. Oop, now this one shot up to 3. So it's kind of funny watching those things, and I know that they're off. That I do just plod along until I do start getting some comments and start getting some interaction and just kind of discuss what's going on. That after the dive today, Cindy and I are going to drop off some laundry at the laundry place we were doing it at. That I'm fussy. I like my towels done through a dryer because they come out a little bit softer and quicker. And it's been insanely humid and forever to dry because of it. But so after the dive, I'm going to take up the swim trunks and all that fun stuff and just run it to the laundromat and get it washed that way. And I'll take up my the pants that I've been wearing and get them washed too. Yesterday from that walk in there, that the cuffs got really dirty, muddy. But since I don't see somebody on, I'm gonna have a cigarette. Yeah, it's not a good thing to do while you're diving either, but it is my life, so. And yes, that was partly from the smoking, partly from all the humidity and my allergies bothering. My young Gabi Jojo, how you doing today? That what's funny is you came out and made a comment, the view count. We were just talking about that. The view count still doesn't show a third person here. That yeah, you can't be too trusting of YouTube and their analytics and a lot of that stuff. Back in January, I was getting 400 views per video, and suddenly it went down to 30. Yeah, it went down into low two-digit numbers, and it dropped tenfold. And I got to talking with a couple of other bigger YouTubers, and they said for some reason that theirs took a dramatic plunge. Maybe not quite a tenfold plunge, but it did take a dramatic plunge. So I don't know what YouTube did different around that point, but YouTube's kind of a mystery in what they do anyhow. So yeah, I when I come here, typically my smoking does cut back quite a bit. This trip, it's cut back, but not as bad, as much as it normally cut back. Yeah, I grabbed a shower just before here, so I didn't want to put on my hat and that, and I'm going diving. So, but the fan's kind of messing with my hair. Hey, David, how you doing today? That yeah, YouTube is YouTube. What can I say? But on the upside to that one, that Monday through Friday, I broadcast literally worldwide and do so for free 3 days a week walking down the street. So I can't kick too awful bad. That they don't follow their own rules and policies is kind of upsetting, but I can't complain too awful bad because they let you do it for free. And everybody here is old enough to remember 20 years ago, 5 years ago, this was unheard of. 30 years ago, the internet in itself was unheard of. So, like I say, you got to take it all with a bit of a grain of salt. there were a couple scuba divers here, and I can't remember if JoJo and David were or not. I don't remember if it was you guys or I want to say it was Brandon, but I'm not sure. But there may be a couple. I do remember. I'm horrible with names. Dan Ford from Canada. I do remember that he is an avid knot diver. uh, but I actually have an aversion to drowning. A couple times when I was a teenager, I did. I almost drowned. I'm not a horribly strong swimmer. Got myself into a bad spot a couple times, and more through panic got out of it than anything else. But yeah, I have a horrible fear of drowning, but I have confidence with scuba because it was introduced well enough, slow enough that I'm perfectly fine with it. The one thing during scuba that I do get horribly disoriented and not knowing where the exit point is will sometimes freak me out. The 2 weeks ago when we made a dive, the first dive, I didn't have my compass with me because of a chain of events that screwed things up badly. The second dive, we swapped the compass so that I had my compass with me. And I took a heading on where we were going and where shore would be. And went out, waited a minute, and came back and saw that, okay, I can find shore. I'm good. After that, I was fine. I can get that one. That yeah, like I say, I'm not a strong swimmer. Jojo, I can definitely appreciate that, especially in cold water. That can be a horrible shock to your system. In Phoenix, believe it or not, the lakes in Phoenix are freaking frigid. Even during the dead of summer, the lakes can be horribly cold. During winter, they can be insanely cold. Not literally freezing, but they can be 50-degree water. And what's funny is your wetsuits, they're called wetsuits because they do allow water in, but they don't allow water in and out real easily. But the zipper down your back, that is a spot where water gets in. And so you'll get in the water in the winter, and the first place you get hit with that frigid freaking water is right on your spine, and that can take your breath away for a second. Greg, good morning, Greg. How you doing today? You're a diver? Yeah, you get in water in below freezing temperature, that can be lethal quick. I don't know if you've ever watched those. Oh shoot, the Discovery Channel one about the crab fishermen up in the Deadliest Catch. There we go. Up in the Aleutians. That they figure if you fall in without the proper protection, you've only got about 45 seconds. With the proper protection, you have minutes to get some kind of aid. That's Greg, you got to come back to the Philippines. That they've got some amazing diving here, and it's warm water diving. If you're a diver, the three of us ought to get together and go up to Pleasant once or twice when when we get back. That is that show still going on? One episode I watched. I don't get seasick terribly often. It's really rare for me to do that. And typically I can just get on deck and watch what's going on and get my mind and head head and stomach to settle. But they had an episode where a guy was his first time on, and he was just horribly, deathly seasick to the point where that they finally had to call in and get him evacuated, call Coast Guard and get him off the boat. Hey, John, how you doing today? That it seems to be the common question today is so Philippine experience. Do you scuba dive? Very cool. That you need to get scuba diving, guy. If you're not certified, you need to get certified. And it takes less than a month. But do it there. It's way cheaper to do it there than it is here. Now, Jojo, those deep sea divers, are you talking about the submersibles and stuff, or are you talking about the divers? Because the submersibles go way deeper than the divers can. And the submersibles, some of those things are way cool and awesome. Check out the local scuba, John. Check out the local scuba shops. Ask them if they do what's called a Discover Scuba, and what that is that they'll set you down basically through the first class, about 20-30 minutes, and then get you kitted up. And depending on where you are, they'll normally do it in a pool, but we'll sometimes do it out in an open water environment. But either way, you got an actual scuba instructor that's supposed to go with you. Sometimes I guess a dive master can do it, but you've got somebody that's there right with you, so you can't get yourself in trouble. But it's really cool. It lets you try it. Typically, dive shops do it for free. Just expecting and hoping that you'll sign up. A lot of dive shops will do it for free if you sign up. It'll be part of the course. If you don't sign up, there'll be a slight fee, a $20 fee or whatever. But check around to a couple dive shops, and I found it's typically cheaper in the States to get certified than it is here, which is kind of surprising. But if you think about it, no, not really, because a lot of Filipinos that go diving don't even bother with the certifications. I've never once been asked about certification here. So whether or not you truly need it here or not, I don't know, but it's worth going through to get the knowledge base before you go diving. Diving is a hazardous hobby. It's no different than riding motorcycle or anything else. A lot of other hobbies, flying, that you can get yourself into a world of trouble quick if you don't know what you're doing. So now, like I say, go. It is way cool. And that gives something to do here, especially down in Argao. The only trouble is in Argao, or the only problem is in Argao itself, there are no dive shops. There's none to the best of my knowledge. but down in Oslo there is, and up here in Cebu there is. That there's divers that go down to Argao and a couple other places frequently, so you can get tanks and possibly equipment rentals that way. But it's a way fun thing to do. I've got some video from the last one. I've got both of my cameras set up. Now, diabetics, I'm not terribly sure whether or not that is a disqualifier or not. And I don't know the PADI, the SSI, the certifying agencies are supposed to be independent of country so that the certification is universal through them. So I don't know whether or not, I love autocorrect. I don't know whether or not that may have an influence. But as I talked with Philippine Experience, that if you're interested, go talk with a local dive shop. That it's a lot of fun. And like I say, I'll be the first one to admit, I've got a really bad fear of drowning. That affects my snorkeling a lot. And I always wear a vest, life vest, while I'm snorkeling just because of that. That I've got one of the Mae Wests that I keep with me so that, if worse comes to worse, I can inflate that, fairly quickly, or if I have any question, I can get it partially inflated beforehand. But yeah, I've got a horrible fear of drowning. So, yeah, I can get it. But knowing in scuba, I've got my air with me. I've got it redundant, and I don't like to. Yeah, I gotta love. You gotta love spell check. If you type the little @ sign in before it, if you're on the computer, it'll pick it up that there's you're typing a message to somebody, and it'll start give you a checklist of anybody that's got that name. If you're on a phone, that one doesn't do it, and you can't do the messages like that. So, but yeah, I enjoy that. I enjoy scuba diving. My son, and this is something that I've got an issue with my son, that he does not have a strong enough respect for as hazardous as diving can be, and he does. Well, we're kind of opposite extremes. I'm a little bit. I am very timid diver, and he is a very bold diver, and yeah, that he doesn't have the respect for it. It's like him trying to ride a motorcycle. That he finally sold his motorcycle, and I was very glad he did. That he does have the respect for it that he needs. When he was first learning to ride, when he was 9, 10 years old, at the time we had a fairly decent sized city lot property that he could ride a circle in the back, and he came out to the front yard. So he got to do a lot of turns and stuff, and it was really, really good, and never left the property, so nobody could complain. And fortunately, we had neighbors that were pretty cool and understanding, and he didn't do it all the time, and it was small enough that he couldn't get up a whole lot of speed. But he got really confident doing that. And so his first time going out, that he had an open area to where he could get up speed. Yeah, he asked, hey, while you get that off, do you mind if I go? And I knew he was way stupid excited. And he took off like a freaking shot. And I finished what I was doing and got with him. And by the time I caught up with him, he was stopped and he was literally shaking like a leaf. That he scared the dog snot out of himself. And after that point, he was way too timid riding bike. And even when he got back on the road and started riding a little bit better, that he was just way too timid in traffic, and that he was way too timid of a rider. That he was going to get himself in trouble. And finally, he gave up riding. He gave up driving. He sold his motorcycle. He didn't really give up, I guess. But whether or not he'll ever go back to it, I don't know. And again, on motorcycle, that I'm confident, but I'm not overly bold. I tend to be much more cautious than others. I'm not a crazy driver, but I do enjoy riding. Now that Mama and Papa are back, and there's somebody to watch Cindy, probably going to start trying to catch up and go with some of the other guys and take off for a day, take off for longer rides. Like I say, I do really enjoy going out. If you used to enjoy to drive fast, you must hate the Philippines. People here think 100 km/h is insane fast. And for here, that it is kind of fast. Mama and Papa, when they first got to the U.S., we picked them up in California, and so their first experience on roads were the California freeways, doing 80 and 90, and then dead stop. That they weren't quite sure what to think about that. Mama thought she was still flying for a lot of that. Cindy, other than the road test and some practice at the driving school had her do, it has not been on the freeway. It's going to be interesting going back. That we'll probably get her a different car, a little bit smaller car. I may see if Carolyn wants to trade in a car. My sister down in Casa Grande, town about 50 miles, 60 miles south of where we live. That my sister is a really nice lady. Greg knows her. That's how Greg and I met, as a matter of fact. But she is one of these that's anal retentive about maintenance and stuff like that. That she'll drive around the block 5 times to make sure she gets her oil changed at 3,000 miles exact, not a mile sooner, not a mile less. Any sooner, you're wasting money. Didn't get the use out of it any further. It's beyond that amount. My ex used to be less than happy with me or completely elated. There was no in between when we were doing those kind of speeds, and I'd do them periodically. Phoenix, it seems like the people are doing time trials for freaking Talladega, that they're just insane on these freeways. Speed limits are kind of a minor suggestion. For a long time, a motorcycle had the state record for speeding ticket. There was 143 or something like that. and that was on a major street, but it was on a city street. Uh, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. It was overnight, which was kind of insane in its own way. But they finally kind of caught him and realized he was doing it regularly. And the cop that radared him and realized the speeds, there was no sense in even trying to catch up with him. And so they kind of set a trap for him the next. I don't know if it was the next day or a few days later or whatever. But they had a cop that tagged him with a radar gun, so they found what his speed limit was, flicked on the lights, and had another set of cops that blocked off the road, like a mile or two down the road, so that as soon as they said he was coming, that they flicked on their lights and did a roadblock, and that's how they had to catch him. They didn't even try and chase him down, but yeah, he was in a whole world of trouble. But I understood somebody has recently broke that one. I don't know if that's, yeah, I don't know where it was, but I understand somebody finally topped that one. But yeah, Arizona is insane with their speeds. Uh, Going from Phoenix to Casa Grande, that there's sections when traffic finally breaks away from the city, after leaving the metro area, that it's floorboard. But a lot of that's two lane, so that it can be really bad speed differences, and you can get yourself in trouble quick, because you'll have big trucks doing 50, 60 mile an hour, and then you'll have the fast lane with people doing 115, 100, 100 plus mile an hour. And so if you're doing 80, 75 is speed limit. So if you're doing 80, 85 close to speed limit, you'll have people on your tail in a heartbeat getting ticked off because you're in the fast lane. So but yeah, that Mama and Papa did not. They were kind of nervous about the speed limits, but after a few months there, they got a little bit more comfortable with it. That that yeah, that's kind of California, LA, especially too. That it's either floorboard or dead stop. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of in between. Yeah, that section of I-10 is getting a bad. I want to say it's getting a bad reputation, but it's more than just a reputation. It's a for real thing. It's getting to be a hazard. There's been talk of widening that to 4 lane both directions, just because of that. Now, JoJo, just kind of a tongue in cheek comment. It kind of makes sense that the freeways around there to look like NASCAR, because that's kind of where NASCAR started, because people drove like that. So all the rum runners and ridge runners running the moonshine back in the day. And I believe even to this day that the dirt tracks that's kind of their home turf, so to speak. But there again, up in the Northeast, that was still pretty common, dirt tracks back in the day. But most of them are long gone. Phoenix had a dirt track for the longest time. There was a lot of fun, and that one finally turned into a shopping center here 4 or 5 years ago. They still have one up northwest of Phoenix, over by Lake Pleasant. I don't know how popular it is or anything like that, but it's not the historic one. And there used to be a track that Speed Channel Pinks used to do a couple episodes there. That they had a drag strip track, dirt track, the whole freaking 9 yards over there, and that finally got shut down. But now Firebird Raceway is the only place I know in Phoenix that has drag strip, and they've got a road track, but they don't have a dirt track to my knowledge. That back in the day, that was kind of a legit occupation. Now, that a lot of people don't remember it, but the Whiskey Rebellion back in the 1800s, that it was Kentucky and Georgia in that area, that they were a little bit pissed because the feds started taxing whiskey, and that was one of our first internal rebellions on that, and the government got their way and got the taxation, but and it's still been opposed ever since. And they tried getting rid of it altogether once back in the 20s, and we all know how well that worked. That and I am a very pro-government and obey the law type thing person, and all that qualifying garbage to start with. But I really think they should make an exemption for minor manufacturer distributor. That if you do under 500 gallons a year, whatever, that they should allow you to do something along that line. Because a lot of people there historically have used it is a sideline, a side income, that they're not trying to look to get rich with it, but they're just looking to pay a few bills. And I know a lot of people go out of their way to get some of that. Some of that moonshine can be some pretty good stuff, especially done right. And back when I was a kid, there was a guy that he brewed his own. That he did it. It was semi-legal to the best of my understanding because he never sold any. It was for personal consumption only. And he had these little 1 gallon oak kegs that I'd never seen before or since. I don't know where he got them from. But he'd brew it, put it in those, and throw it in a hunting cabin or throw it down in his basement. And then, 6 months, a year later, go take it out, and it turned amber like whiskey. And it was actually pretty good and really good, smooth whiskey. But and he enjoyed doing it, and that it was something that a lot of his friends were very sought after, and tried to convince him to sell it, and he wouldn't. Now, if you do distill it for alcohol, are you allowed to do it for personal consumption? Do you know? Because I think I don't know, but I started to get into winemaking and beer making, and so I checked the legalities of that, and I seem to remember that there was something that you could, that there was a very small amount for personal consumption and yada 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 that you could do legally, but I don't remember, and this would have been 25 years ago, so it very well could have changed between now and then. or between then and now. Okay, so you can't do that for, okay, well, and there again, if you're doing a small amount for personal consumption, hey, it's kind of one of those things they got to catch you before it's illegal. Uh, and like I say, that there needs to be a little bit of common sense applied in that. And there again, even if you try to present that they're, I'm only brewing 500 gallons a year, how are you actually proving that you're only brewing 500 gallons a year? I don't know. And that's the problem with a lot of the laws in the U.S. is the laws often are well intended and generally a good idea, but sadly, because so many people will take and abuse the laws, that they wind up creating some draconian laws. uh, that Here in the Philippines, they do this tuba that's kind of a home brew. That it's a fermented rice or a fermented coconut wine, and I've had two different kinds. That there was one that I got that was this cloudy white stuff, and yeah, the tuba that it's the cloudy white stuff. It tasted like freaking vinegar. It was horrible. That I couldn't drink enough to decide whether or not it was alcohol or just vinegar. And that was kind of nasty. And Papa told me, no, that's not. It's not what you were thinking of. And I've heard a few other people say that the tuba was just horrible. It was about like drinking vinegar. And Papa explained that there was two different types. And the other type that he was able to get me, it was this. It was still kind of cloudy, but it was brown. Uh, it kind of looked like apple cider, the cloudy apple cider that hadn't been filtered. But it smelled strong, and it was pretty strong. But it was way sweeter. It was definitely alcoholic. You could taste that. And that's part of the reason why I don't do a lot of that here. Is I don't know how they brew this stuff, and I've seen Filipino makeshift ways of doing things, and it can make me horribly nervous. Uh, Moonshine, I would never take from somebody that I don't know very well. Uh, yeah, because if it's not done right, you can die quick. That stuff can kill you literally. I've heard of some of this the stuff on these South Sea Islands can be uh, rather intense. That Because I'm not sure how they get it that strong without distilling it. Because typically fermented stuff, 9, 10%, 12% is about max you can get. Because then the alcohol starts killing off the yeast. So, oh no, that stuff will kill you. Yeah, that stuff will kill you. That ain't terribly bright. But I don't. Um, G Poket, Greg may have a little bit better understanding of the reaction or what happens. But if you don't brew it in copper or glass, that when it's brewed, that the metal can somehow react with the alcohol, and that it taints the alcohol, and it can turn it poisonous way quick. Uh, but again, I don't know if I'd want to try any of that. I don't know if it would work or not. And then on top of that, if you don't clean those radiators out, that glycol can kill you. Friggin' teaspoon of that can kill you. So yeah, that way, no, I wouldn't. And it's just because of stuff like that. And I could see some Filipinos trying something like that. That you might be able to get away with it on an old brass radiator, maybe. Yeah, I've heard of a lot of people dying from that. I've heard of people going blind from that. That it does something to the alcohol. That alcohol technically is a poison. It's just a mild enough poison that it doesn't kill you, but it just makes you drunk. Uh, my hair is dry enough that I got to put the hat on. I'm tired of the fan blowing my hair like that. So yes, I actually keep my hat right here just because of that. And if I don't, I wind up misplacing it and lose it. But I've actually been on about an hour. We actually kind of had a pretty interesting discussion today. That Greg, you definitely need to come out for scuba diving. That when you come. See, I didn't know that. See, I didn't know that I never got into brewing well enough I never got into distilling at all. And I'd never researched it well enough to find that out. So that'd be kind of cool. Uh, but Greg, you got to come out. We got to go diving. I'm trying to remember where Daphne is from. I want to say she's from. I can't remember. I know she's from over by the coal region, I believe. But you need to come out. We got to go diving. There's diving all not okay. Naga, Bicol. Okay. I know on the other side of that island there's some diving. Up by Porto Galera on the northern end over by that area, it's some really cool diving. You got to come out. We got to go diving. You need to schedule a vacation as soon as this place ever opens back up. I haven't seen Philippine Experience John. That he's another one we need to figure out and go diving. David, if you are curious about it, check out a couple of dive shops. And diabetics, if it's a well-controlled diabetics, it might not disqualify you. Jojo, we got to go sailing. Maybe that would be kind of a cool thing too. And I need to go fishing. We need to go fishing. I want to try some deep sea fishing here. I know a couple people will do boats to do that. So, but I'm actually going to wrap it up just a hair early today and get everything downstairs. And because we got to, as soon as he gets here, we got to do just some gear maintenance. So from Toe Chip Compound, mabuhay.